Just got like a gross amount of chest hair showing right now. Try and fix that.
My journey into prospecting started with alluvial gravels, hunting for gold with a gold pan, a river sluice and a high banker. But of late, I've been more interested in hard rock.
Today's mission is hard rock mining. I've put together this little basic hard rock kit. Why is it that every time I want to go out, it thunderstorms?
In an effort to beat the storm and quelling my anxiety, I hit the road for a mine that was hidden way up in the bush. I'd never been there before, and I was trying to find access.
I drove, I looked, and then I couldn't get access because the bridge that takes me to the area has been washed out in the floods. But I found this creek. And this creek actually runs a little bit below those gold mines. So I'm going to take some crevice samples and see what I get. This pocket is packed full of gravel.
And generally speaking, the harder a crevice is packed with gravel, the more likely there is to be gold in it.
Ooh, we've actually got some grey clay in there. You know how I like grey clay. For full disclosure, I've never been here before, so I have no idea what we're going to find. Woo. All terrain, feet. First pan on a new creek, you always check the classifier. I'm not really seeing any black sand or anything yet.
When you're on a new creek, gold is not the only thing you're looking for. Paying attention to the associated heavies will allow you to track down the better gold deposits.
Oh no, there we go. We've got black sand. We've got black sand. It's nice, coarse, chunky stuff. Oh, we got a piece of gold. There we go. We got a bit. It's actually a nice sized flake. That black sand is super coarse and we only got the one flake, but that is a good sized piece. It's some of the bigger gold I've seen in the northeast. The same floods that washed out the bridge I was trying to get across also scoured the land. This is all fresh erosion here and it's hard up against bedrock. So that means that this bedrock hasn't been exposed in a long time. It's got this matting of thick tree roots. That's what we want. If there is gold here, this will have caught it. That sounded very much like famous last arrogant words. Oh, there's got to be gold here.
This is the most important kind of prospecting you can do, exploring new creeks and new areas. I was only 4 or so kilometers away from where the hard rock mines I was trying to get to were, and being unable to access that, panning in a creek gives me the opportunity to see what kind of gold may be shedding out of the main vein when I finally do get access to where the hard rock is.
Quick little shake back. Oh yeah, we got another good flake. Just the one, but it counts. Okay, if the gold spec size is averaging that, if I find a deposit, it's going to be a good day.
With my first 2 pans of success, I took to the creek with boyish enthusiasm. Guess how much gold I found over the next 2 hours?
Nothing. 2 hours of looking, nothing. Until now. I've test panned so many spots across this area and I found maybe 3 or 4 pans that had some flour gold in it. That was right up until this pan, and this pan showed me that there is actually decent gold on this creek. Look at that. Not a massive bonanza of specks, but they're all good particle size. And in typical fashion, it is literally about to rain. So I'm gonna get this, get one more pan done, and then I'm gonna have to go. Hey Wigglebutt, you had a good day? At the bottom of the hole here we have fractured decomposing bedrock, and that is the key to finding really good gold. The first stuff I showed you was super smooth. This stuff is breaking apart and those fractures are what catch the gold. Yabby claw. I have been infused with the power of a crustacean. Definitely not as good as that first pan, but hey, at least we're finally finding gold. It has literally just started to rain and it's only meant to get worse for the next 3 or 4 hours, so I'm gonna go home. But hey, we've got a new creek with gold on it. We're coming back.
With some hope in my heart, a little bit of rain on my shoulders, and a nap, I got ready for an evening hard rock session.
I've drank instant coffee for my entire life, and this Christmas I was like, you know what? Treat yourself. I'm going to buy one of these things. Best investment I have ever made. Although I do believe now that I fit into the aristocrat coffee crowd, which I am, have mixed feelings about.
With my feelings of coffee put aside, I headed straight out to the bush to a gold mine.
Your mama's so fat that when she walks past the TV, you miss an entire season. Thank you, I'll be here all week. I've come back to this old mine, finally, with the ability to take some ore samples. Check this out. One day I'm going to get a ladder that actually gets me over this entrance and way down there, because this mine looks delicious. Now, I'm not going to bore you guys with all the details of this, but I've chipped out about a quarter bucket's worth of ore. It's a little bit of a hike to get in here, and I can't be bothered carrying massive buckets out. You can see some of the main vein left in the ceiling that they were chasing into this hillside. There's actually 3 levels to this mine, so it's quite deep, but they've left a lot of these side veins. These just weren't worth their time chasing. They may be very rich, but they're very small, and you got to remember that even if that was going 10 ounces a ton, you would have to take enough rock out of the side of the wall to fit a man in to work it. That's what's called dilution, and you don't want to do that. So you want to target your richest veins that are as wide as possible so that you don't have any dilution. And because some of these side veins have been left in place, I am taking samples out of them. This is a 20-litre bucket, and you can see it's about half full, so we'll get a reasonable sample size and just look at the mineralization and that piece of quartz. I reckon we're going to see a lot of galena come out of this. That's silver and lead mixtures, and hopefully a lot of fine gold. But now I've got to lug this bloody stuff all the way out of the bush, which is just the worst, because this hill is steep. I mean, that's level, and that's got to be, what, a 45? And unlike Fern, I only have 2-wheel drive. He's pretending the camera isn't here. Your ears are looking at me.
I got out of that mine and back to the car just before dark, and because I had to cut my time so quick, I'd only sampled the easiest vein to access, which was okay, but not great looking.
It's 9 AM and it is already ridiculously hot, so I have to get to crushing this ore. Even though I had no access to the first set of hard rock mines that I wanted to get to yesterday, I did manage to get to another set I've had my eyes on for a while, and we're going to find out today if that little side vein had any gold in it. I've got my RC1 set up with a little bit of dust suppression, so we're going to be spraying water into the bushes where the dust is going to be going, and hopefully that'll settle some of it. And once the majority of this potential gold ore has been reduced to dust, we're going to take it to the creek and we're going to use the sluicebox to process it. First things first, we've got to sort out any pieces that are too big for the crusher. All of this stuff can go straight into the crusher. That is the perfect size for it. All of this stuff is too big to go in the crusher, but most of it is host rock, so I'm not going to even worry about processing this stuff because we're only interested in the quartz. And this is all the oversized quartz that I got to put through the dolly pot so it will fit into the feed chute. One of my friends that comes to visit. Dust suppression. Let's be real, that's probably not going to do a whole lot, but I'm trying. I'd really like to say that did something, but I don't think it did. One pass, that did a really decent job in just one pass. Look at that. Because I'm super curious, we're going to do one handful worth of concentrates. And I mean, who knows? If we see gold in this, we could be in for a very exciting little sleuth run. Just one handful, so if we see a couple of specks in here, it means that there's gold in that rock, and that has potential. We know there's going to be gold in that mine. It's just finding the vein that's going to give us the most. Alright, there is gold, but it's super fine, which is typical of ore in our area. Remembering that this is just one handful, we've got one good speck of gold there, and about a dozen really fine pieces above it. This all comes from about 1 kilometre away from where we took the first sample from, and I've found some really good, if not sporadic gold in this rock. Power!
Gold ore, much like hunting for gold in a stream, is not a consistent business. You'll have richer sections of vein and you'll have poorer sections of vein, and your idea is to take as much ore as possible so you get an average for what your dilution is across the whole lot. In the case of this particular vein, I've had results as high as 4 grams of gold for a single bucket, and as low as none. But that seems to be why I keep going back for more. I like punishment. And after taking a single handful of crush and panning it down, these were our results.
One of the biggest misconceptions about gold ore is that if you crush a really rich vein, you're going to see lots of chunky, nuggety pieces, and that's just not the case for the majority of it. So this won't look like much, but I promise you this is a very rich vein. You've got to think in quantity of industrial mining. From just one handful of dirt, we managed to get all of those specks. There's easily 30 pieces of gold just there. This is our mystery vein bucket, this is our good vein bucket, and that's my tired dog. Bro, when I say it's hot, it is like almost 40 degrees today. I've got the high banker set up and we're going to get this done as fast as possible. Riding the mini gold fox, discharging into a gold rat dream mat sluice. Utilizing a Jarvie riffle, expanded mesh over AstroTurf, finally discharging into some dream matting. Ore crush gold is extremely fine and very difficult to catch, and that's why we're offering 3 different capture zones for the gold to settle out in. Power! The first bucket we're going to run is the vein that I just pulled out yesterday. I want to see how much gold is hiding in that mine. I'm not too worried about what the dream mat catches. I'm going to leave this the same for both runs. I'm not going to empty it. And that's because I'm very confident in this system.
I know this looks like a lot of work, and that's because it is. Sampling for hard rock gold is not easy. But then again, most things that are easy are not worth doing, and most things that are worth doing are quite difficult. And for whatever reason, I find this a lot of fun.
This is a very small sample of ore from a vein I've never looked at before. The question is there any gold? Yeah, there is. Oh my god, look at that. Bear in mind that this is just 1/4 of a bucket. We actually got one really nice piece, and look at how much fine gold came out of that ore crush. That's only a 1/4 bucket. That's a good result.
Now I knew what was in the mystery vein, it was on to my next bucket. Whilst I didn't expect a bonanza of gold, I certainly was hoping for more. The added bonus for me is that a lot of the ore in this area also contains some silver, which I will be able to refine out into a precious metal ball later on.
This is the concentrates from the second bucket, and this pan's a lot heavier. It's a good indicator that there's probably a lot more iron, galena, gold, sulfides, just heavy material in general in it. This vein I've been working for a while, and it's sporadically good. Some pans you can get easy 2-3 grams, and other pans you can get maybe 200 or 300 specks. I can already see some gold coming out. Ah, oh, nicer flakes, look at that. That is from only about half a bucket worth of ore crush. And that's what we got from our mystery vein. Very similar results. Again, one nice big flake and a bunch of very fine gold. And that right there is what we got for, well, all of it. That's 1 bucket worth of ore crush. But not only did we get the gold, we got all this silver material. Now, a lot of this is going to be iron, but some of it's going to be galena. And that means that there's going to be a silver content in it. Fernie, everyone's going to want to know what the dream mat caught, and not much. Basically nothing. There's a couple of little tiny flakes up here, and that's it. I have literally driven from the creek to home, which is about 30 minutes, and look at what the sulfides have done. They've already started oxidizing. However, there will still be grades of silver mixed up within those sulfides, so we're going to smelt it. I got 2 types of flux here. They're going to help remove some of the impurities in it. We're not going to use too much of the black or the white flux, just a little bit. These both contain different compounds to help strip some of the impurities. We should just be left with the gold and silver. That's going to take about 15 minutes to heat up, so I'm going to go enjoy my iced coffee and come back when everything's all liquid. I'm just going to use this totally oversized and ridiculous mold for our tiny bit of gold and silver. Why? Because that's why. Which is in no way, shape or form directed at any of my regular viewers. It's just directed at the people who are like, oh, you spent like $500 to get $4 worth of gold? Yeah, I did. It was fun. Steel gold pan, bit of water. Now we just got to throw it in the dolly pot and smash it. Now this ball's not going to be gold, it's going to be silver because there was a much higher concentration of silver than there was gold in that mix, and that's it. That is our precious metal ball that I just dropped. At a complete guess, I'm going to say 0.1? 0.07. We come out with a price of $2.28. Look, at $2.28 a bucket, I'm not getting rich, but there's gold in those veins.